Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. In May, the South African construction industry saw the release of another round of annual results, with most companies reporting surprisingly upbeat numbers in a period during which the economic crisis has started to set in. Senior contributing editor Irma Venter joins me now in studio to take a closer look at the construction industry and what impact the economic slowdown is having on the sector. Irma, welcome to the show. Were the numbers reported by the construction industry really that positive?
We saw a lot of small companies coming out with results for the financial year ended February 28, and the numbers were really good, especially revenue-wise. You could see companies like Stefaniti Stocks more than doubling their revenue. Rhodes Builder Aerobics did exactly the same. Protecatele, the earthwork specialist, did about 91% growth in revenue. We saw a jump from Buildmax, building material supplier, 35% in revenue. Junior construction company Sanyati went up more than 50%. Another construction material supplier, Afrimat, went up about 12%, which was a bit less than the rest of them, but still quite impressive in this market. So yes, they delivered excellent results, and the market was quite impressed with that. But of course, we also saw a problem in terms of headline earnings per share coming under a little bit of pressure. The CEOs, when they presented the results, spoke a little bit about this, and also a margin squeeze. We could see there was a profit margin squeeze happening in the market, and they all mentioned it. They didn't want to go into detail about it, put too much of a quantity on that, but they did mention that things were starting to get tight on the market. So there were definitely very good news out there. We saw good results, but things are starting to get tight, it seems.
When you say things are starting to get a bit tougher, what does that mean?
Well, there's basically two things happening in the market at the moment, two major tendencies that we can look at. First, the building sector is starting to contract. That's private sector spending. So you're basically talking about your apartments, your offices, your industrial developments, that type of thing. So that is definitely starting to slow down. It's not dead yet. There's nothing like that. But it's definitely contracting, and the market is getting smaller. So we had a lot of companies focused on that market, and they now kind of have to focus somewhere else to make sure they keep on getting the same kind of growth that we've seen before. So we have this problem. And then we also have the problem in terms of the Middle Eastern construction market really starting to slow down. We had a lot of South African companies going to Dubai, and they're doing big public projects there. But then all of a sudden the oil price started to drop. We had a more than $100 per barrel last year for oil. Now we've dropped down to $30 a barrel earlier this year. It's gone up again, but the market is still very tight. Now, when the oil price goes, the construction market in Dubai kind of went with it. So we had a problem there that companies like Mariaan and Group 5, they've tendered for big projects. They won big projects. Then all of a sudden these projects got cancelled. And now they're returning to the market, to South Africa, where we still have this government infrastructure spend happening of more than 700 billion rand, I think, over the next few years. And they're all tendering for the same kind of work now, along with the companies who've been here in South Africa, focused on South Africa for quite a while. Now that is resulting in this profit margin squeeze, as Sanyati has put it and explained it to us earlier. So we have these two things happening, and that's, I think, is going to put some pressure on the market. And we'll have to see over the next 6 months what happens in terms of this.
Are we now seeing more companies gearing up to take advantage of government's big 787 billion rand infrastructure plan?
Well, at the moment, I think we can consider it the construction industry saving grace. I mean, you say we have this huge number going to be spent over the next 5 years. We're talking about power stations. The imperative is still there that we need more power. We're not out of the woods yet in terms of the Eskom situation. With the new government coming into, there's still a social imperative, maybe more of a social imperative for schools to be built, for hospitals, for clinics, for roads. So all of these things still have to happen. So government's putting down the money and saying, we're going to spend this, which is very good for the construction industry. And then you see the construction industry with the building market contracting, with Dubai contracting, with some of the mining industry in Africa also contracting. You see that they're saying, okay, we're going to definitely gear up and try and spend our money or try and win contracts in this government civil engineering sector where they're putting money on the table. So they're all gearing up for it. They're all trying to channel their resources, so make sure they produce the right product for government and that they can win a government tender. Of course, it's got some advantage for government. I've spoken to some of the executives, some of the agencies, especially, for example, the South African National Roads Agency, and they say tender prices have come down. So now it's cheaper for them to build a stretch of road, a kilometre of road, than it was 12, 18 months ago. Of course, some effect of that has been the concrete prices come down under the global economic prices. I mean, we're talking steel prices are down. With the oil price goes the bitumen price, so that's also down. So this has had some positive effects for government in that I think the bill at the end of the day may be a little bit lower than it would have been 12 to 18 months ago.
Looking ahead, what can we expect from the construction companies?
Well, at the moment, the construction industry, along with all the other shares on the JSE, they're definitely under pressure. I mean, you can just take a look at the share prices and the PE ratios. It's definitely investors are shying away from construction at the moment. So there's not really anything big that's probably going to change that. But we will have to see how the next 6 to 8 months will affect that. We have the big construction companies coming out with their results, and it would be interesting to see how the pullback from Dubai has influenced them. It would be interesting to see how the building market contraction has influenced them. And because the last time that they actually delivered their results, we only had about the inclusion of about 3 months of this really tough economic period. Now we're going to see a much longer inclusion when they deliver their financial results, and it'll be interesting to see how this has affected them. And of course, then subsequent to that, we're going to have to see if the smaller construction companies are also going to take some pain if the bigger construction companies are going to also feel the squeeze from the economic markets.
Thank you very much. That is the Second Take show for today. Thank you for watching, and join us again next time for more news analysis.